Hello and welcome to Superpower Gaming. I'm your host, Kevin Castley, and in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Augurs of Ilyxum from the Twilight Imperium Discordant Stars fan expansion. These guys are kind of like space monks. They're pretty interesting space gurus. Um, they're they're kind of complicated, so we can see their faction here. I like their color scheme. It's kind of purple. That's kind of cool. Um, let's talk about these guys. So this is, of course, the Augurs of Ilyxum. What do they start with? Well, they start with a carrier. They start with 2 destroyers. They start with 2 fighters. They get 4 infantry. And they get a space dock and a PDS. Okay. Only 1 carrier. Okay. But 4 infantry. Okay, whatever. It would have been cool to have 2 carriers, but these guys are too complicated for that. So their starting technology allocation is yellow Scanlink drone network and red AI development algorithm. I really like AI dev. AI dev is very cool, especially if you've got a public objective, like have 3 unit upgrade technologies. That really favors AI dev algo because now what are you doing? You're getting like triple Sarween essentially out of it, right? Just tap that card and boom, you're saving yourself 3 trade goods on production. That's pretty good, right? So let's take a look at their starting planets. This is Cryon, which is a 2/3, and Demas, which is a 2/2. That actually nets out to a 4/5, which is pretty strong. That's pretty strong considering that it's only 2 planets. So it's not the most difficult to defend, right? It's not like Argent or something. That's pretty cool. Another commodities are 3, which is, that's middling. Their complexity rating is high, and we'll see why shortly. Their faction colors are purple and orange. And of course, if you've got Discordant Stars, you're probably going to have Prophecy of Kings, right? So you're going to have the orange play pieces, so you could work with that. We got their faction colors behind me there. So we got purple and orange going on. Let's take a look at their faction abilities. So we have to start with the Oracle AI. After the speaker reveals an unrevealed public objective, choose one unrevealed public objective card and place that card on your faction sheet. You may look at that card on your faction sheet at any time. So what this is saying is when the new objective comes out, you get to take the next one after, pick an unrevealed one there, place it on your sheet. You can look at it at any time. The advantage here is you get to see, so for example, on round 2, like as we're going into round 2, we start with 2 revealed ones. Now we've got a 3rd revealed one. You're aware of 4 that you can work towards, plus your secret, so you could be working on 5 basically. The advantage there is that other people are only going to have 4 to work with. So it gives you, as it says, Oracle AI. You're seeing into the future essentially. But you also have the faction ability Limited Vision, which says you may not place a stage 2 objective card on your faction sheet till all stage 1 objectives have been revealed. So this is just a clarification for the Oracle AI. It's not like an extra ability or anything. It's just a clarification. What it says basically is that, look, you got to wait until the stage 2s come out to start picking random stage 2s. So in other words, you're only dealing with having your hidden stage 1 that you can look at. You're not going to be getting a stage 2 until everybody's at the stage 2 stage. Now, the 3rd ability is the probability algorithms. When the speaker would reveal the next public objective, they must reveal the public objective card on your faction sheet instead. Place that card near the other public objectives. So what this means is, once this starts going, so on the first round that the speaker reveals the next public objective, and now we have 3 public objectives, you're getting a public objective that's hidden to everybody else, but you can look at. Then when we go into round 3, the speaker has to take your card. They're not picking from that and you get another one or something. No, they're taking yours. So you're always going to be one turn ahead, but you need to know that other people are going to be now in the know and they're going to be able to score that objective. So essentially what it's giving you is a 1-round head start on trying to fulfill that objective before other people are aware of it. Now, once you fulfill it, other people can fulfill it too, right? Like it's a public objective, but there's an advantage in having knowledge of what they're going to be. So for example, let's say it's some tech one. Let's say it's like, oh, like what is it? Like have 1 tech in 4 colors, for example. Nobody else knows that. So when you're in your technology phase, that's going to influence your decision. Other people might lean deep into green. They might lean deep into blue. They might do stuff within their own game of what they're doing. But you know, hey, like there's going to be an objective coming out soon. I'm going to gear myself up to be in a faster position to score it. And what that means is that you're more likely to score it, and other people are less likely to score it, because even though they can technically also score it, everybody can all score the same objective. They don't know about it. They're going to have less time to react to it. The game can get in the way. They might not have the time and resources to meet those conditions, which you did because you geared your game towards meeting that. That's the advantage with them there. That's the advantage. But it is complicated, and we're going to get into their other stuff. So let's look at the faction promissory note. Read the fates. Action. Place this card or face up in your play area. While this card is in your play area, you may look at the public objective card on the Ilyxum player's faction sheet. If you activate a system that contains one or more of the Ilyxum player's units, turn this card to the Ilyxum player. So, of course, it's promissory note. You're giving this out. You're not using this. They're using it. You're selling it. I would never sell this. Never, ever, ever, ever sell this, because you have literally 3 faction abilities, essentially. They're all geared towards this one special thing that you can do that nobody else can do, that gives you an advantage on trying to get to 10 victory points. And then what? You're going to give that away for what, 2 trade goods or something? No, you're not. No, you're not. Even if they offer you like 5 trade goods, there's a very good case to be made. You're not selling this, because that other player can tell the rest of the board what it is. That other player can now compete with you. That player, even if they're friendly, can turn into your enemy later on. Why would you negate your one big advantage when you have other issues to deal with? What, for money? Like, you would only do this if you're about to be eliminated, essentially. That's it. And by that point, the game's so far down the road, that's probably not of that much value to people, because most of the objectives have already been scored, right? So let me know in the comments if you disagree. I don't think I would ever get this. I don't think I would ever sell this, I should say. I would just hold on to that promissory note the entire game, because otherwise, what's the point in being the Augurs of Ilyxum if everybody now can just be the Augurs of Ilyxum? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. So just hold on to it. It's just too powerful. It's too powerful to give away. So, and if you do give it away, let me know. Did you wind up winning? Did you regret it? Right? I think I would probably regret it pretty fast. I don't think I would do it. I think if they were like, hey, 3 trade goods, they probably wouldn't. I don't think people, at least at the table that I play at, they're not really too keen on, like, you know, faction promissory notes and stuff, unless like Joel Nar. No, I don't think so. I don't think I'm ever selling that for anything. Let's take a look at their faction technologies. They have a green tech, which is psychographics. During the status phase, you may score 1 additional public objective instead of a secret objective. That is so cool. That's really freaking cool. It might not sound that powerful because it's instead of, it's not like you get to do both, right? But what if your secret objective is bad? What if you just have a really awkward one that you know you're probably never going to score in the entire game, and now you're sitting on it, but you don't have the command token economy to keep getting new ones when people use Imperial, and you're not going to take Imperial because you're too busy going after like tech or construction or other stuff for your own game. Well, okay, bump that. I'll just score another public objective instead. I'll just score 2 public objectives. That's cool. Plus, I'm going to see what the one coming up is. Now, the problem with this is it's 3 green prereqs. That's tough. We don't even start with a green. We don't start with any green. So we're going to have to go like neural, and then we're going to have to skip. Like if you're going to play these guys, hopefully you've picked a slice that has a green tech skip, right? That's another piece of advice. So far the advice is never cell read the fates and always choose a slice that has a green tech skip. Then that gets us up on round 2, potentially, to hypermetabolism. And then we can skip to psychographics. No, that's still pretty good. That's still pretty good. That can swing games pretty quickly. I think psychographics is a powerful technology. I think you're actually seriously incentivized to go green with these guys. There's a really strong case with them to go green red. I think that's cool. I think that's cool. I don't know if that's true for any other faction. So, our second one is the sentient data pool. This is only 2 prerequisites, and it's yellow, and we have a yellow prerequisite already. We start with scan Linktree network. So we actually only need a yellow skip or another yellow tech. Well, that's cool. We could go with like Graviton, for example, to bunker down and deter. That's pretty cool. I mean, we start with a PDS, right? We might be building more PDS. Who knows? So because we've got yellow and red as well, we could go straight into PDS2 as far as a unit upgrade technology goes. So if we went, say, for example, we've got ScanLink and then we go into Graviton, that really blends well with PDS2 because now we're only going to be hitting on capital ships, essentially. That's pretty good, right? What does Sentient Data Pool say, though? At the start of the status phase, you may spend 3 trade goods to research 1 technology. Now, this is pretty powerful. So there's a really good case to research this as well. I don't think there's any point to go further down yellow. I think green and red are going to be like the most powerful for this faction, but I could also see green and blue working very well too. But I would say you're going to want to pick up the sentient data pool. I think these guys are like one of those rare factions where you actually want both of your faction techs. They're both really powerful because normally under the tech secondary, you have to pay 4 trade goods and a command token to research a technology. Under this, you can still do that, but you can also do this and get an extra technology. So you can actually rush through technologies pretty quickly if you're able to build up the economy to do it. So there's actually an argument with these folks that if you're going to play Augurs of Ilyxum on round 1 or round 2, you should take trade. And then on the other one, you should take technology. And you can just zoom through the tech tree. And I think that that would be kind of a smart play. The flagship for these guys is the Nemesis. It is a cost of 8. It hits on 5 only once. It's not one of those like ×2 flagships. But it does hit on a 5, which is better than usual. It has a movement of 1 and a capacity of 3. The abilities here are sustain damage, and when this unit makes a combat roll, it rolls 1 additional die for each secret objective you have scored. Now, we talked about earlier how if we went the psychographics route, we might be doing that if we're negating our secret objectives. So if you have really good secret objectives, and maybe you got a couple of them, or you go really in that direction, maybe don't get psychographics because you're going to go for your secrets instead. But if you do that direction, then bring out your flagship. If you don't, go for psychographics and focus on the publics, whichever one is easier for you, essentially. It's kind of like a one or the other sort of thing. You don't need to have your flagship in the game, right? So it's not like the Raiders of Gamina, for example, where like that's like a make or break sort of thing for them as their flagship. So let's look at our mech. This is the Illidrith. Deploy. After researching a tech, you may place one mech on a legendary planet or a planet that has a tech specialty that you control. That's good. What that means is that cost of 2 goes away. It's a deployability. So when we were spending 3 trade goods with Sentient Data Pool, now we're also getting a mech out of it. That's a much bigger value proposition of research Sentient Data Pool than it would be otherwise by us getting that mech out. So far, with everything that we've seen thus far, I actually would say that these guys have an advantage. I think the complexity rating is high because you need to really know what you're doing and be precise about it. But I actually feel like it's easier with these guys. Now, I haven't played them yet, but I feel like these guys actually have an advantage in the grand scheme of things. I think everything here is more of an easy tier. But let's take a look at the agent in the later suite. This is Clodo, the speaker. He unlocks at game start, as per usual. Ability is after a player explores a legendary planet, or a planet that has a tech specialty. You may exhaust this card to allow that player to gain 2 trade goods. That's insane. So if we're doing the legendary thing, for example, boom, we're getting 2 trade goods out of it. We're exploring, we're potentially getting more trade goods out of it. Now we use those trade goods to get an extra tech at the start of the status phase, and then we use that to get us to deploy to reinforce that legendary planet with our mech, or a tech specialty planet with our mech. That's a really good engine. There's a lot that you have to remember, a lot you have to do, but I don't think it's complex in the sense of some other factions. I actually think these guys are kind of easy if you know what you're doing. The commander. This is Lacus, the reader. Win a combat. Its unlock condition is win a combat in a system that contains a legendary planet or has a planet that has a tech specialty. So yeah, you're definitely incentivized to go after those legendaries with this faction. This card satisfies a yellow tech prerequisite. When you cast at least 1 vote, cast 1 additional vote for every 2 technologies you own. I already talked about how these guys are going to zoom through techs if you know what you're doing with them. That's not the most powerful thing ever. Even if you were able to get up to like 8 or 10 techs, that's only 4 or 5 votes. You're like, okay, you're on par with Argent now, but you have to really work for it. Okay, but understand those techs are really going to help you out, though. So I think it's a nice little bonus. I think the prereq thing is cool. If you can get it out like super early, then yeah, you could just research Sentient Data Pool, and you don't actually need to go for Graviton, for example, right? If it's going to take you a while to get, combat victory in those sorts of planets, then okay, maybe you still go for Sentient earlier. I think it's cool. I think it's a really good commander. Let's look at the hero. This is Atropha, the Weaver. Have 3 scored objectives to unlock. Synchronicity algorithm, Woven Fate. The action is to draw 3 objective cards from one of the public objective decks. Choose, and so when we're talking public objective decks, we're talking your stage 1s and your stage 2s. Choose up to 1 of those cards to replace an objective card on a player's faction sheet, and return the others to the bottom of their corresponding decks. Then purchase card. So it's not game breaking in terms of combat or anything like that. It's not going to destroy systems. But what it does let you do is, if you've got kind of an annoying one that you know is going to come out, other people might have an easy time scoring. Well, okay. And I'm not going to get it. Okay, well, let me just activate my hero. We use Atropha. We'll take a look at 3. Hopefully there's a better one there. We'll replace it with that. And now I went from knowing that other people are going to score an objective that I can't once it becomes available. Now it's, I'm going to score an objective that they can't potentially. That's really good. I really like it. I like their starting world. I like their aesthetics. I think that teal turquoise planet's very cool. I think the Temus chaotic kind of shadow planet's really cool. I like their insignia. Like, I like purple. I really like psychographics. I like everything about this faction. This faction is top tier for me. This faction is like up there with the Eden Mandate. This faction is up there with the Demon Flotilla. This faction is potentially almost unstoppable if you know what you're doing. The problem for them is that they're a little bit hampered on production. They're a little bit hampered on combat. They don't really have anything that advantages them in combat, but they do have a really good tech engine potentially here. These guys are a threat. The problem with these guys is that you might research, or you might score so much early on that you become an enemy of the table. And I would say you kind of want to pace it, but because you have this advanced knowledge of what's going to come out, you in a sense almost have this quasi Nalu capability where you're not scoring your objectives first, but you're aware of what they are first. And that can set you up to be in a winning situation in a way that Nalu can kind of slack and still score first. You're not scoring first potentially, but you are aware first. And even Nalu isn't in that position. And so in that sense, I feel like these guys are kind of analogous to the Nalu Collective, but the Nalu Collective had more combat going for them. These guys have more tech going. I like them. I think the Augurs of Ilyxum are top tier. Again, I understand why the complexity rating is high, because it's kind of wonky. It's kind of niche. It's kind of like, oh, I've never used a faction like this before. Okay, but if you know what you're doing, I would say this is easier than your average faction. I think everything about this gives you an advantage. It gives you help. This thing, the sentient data, that gives you help bringing mechs out. It gives you help with, the tech tree. Psychographics gives you help scoring to compensate for a bad secret objective. The Oracle AI, it gives you help scoring. Scanlink and AI blend very well into PDS2 to defend yourself, right? I think their biggest disadvantage is that they don't have 2 carriers to start with. I wouldn't put them as high complexity. I'd say maybe medium. But I think they're a cool faction. And I'd be interested to know what you think. Have you played with these guys? Have you won with these guys? I know Discordant Stars is pretty new, but, once I get the opportunity to play a few games, I'm thinking Eden Mandate, these guys, Demon Flotilla, Mela Talk Krask, the Zellium Purifier is really cool. But I feel like these guys are top tier. I feel like these guys are an S tier faction, and I feel like people are sleeping on them. I feel like, there's some talk about the Eden Mandate as being OP. I think these guys are actually OP too. But we'll see. We'll see. If somebody else takes Eden Mandate, I might take these guys, right? We'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. I think this is an insanely good faction. I think the Augurs are underrated. I think the Augurs have the potential to just dominate the game and get to 10 victory points. So with that, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe here, Superpower Gaming on YouTube. I put out a lot of content, different games and stuff. And also be sure to follow my main channel, Superpower Broadcasting. But with that, I'll see you in the next video. So take care, and, hopefully you win big with these guys. So peace.